Nathan, an emotional few days for everyone at the football club. How are you and your players coping with it all?
Look, yes. Look, Saturday was an unprecedented day for the football club, and things like that seem to be happening in football more and more, and it's a real tragedy when it happens, and especially to your own football club. Then to have the game called off, and then to have one in quick succession with everything else that's going on. Look, yeah, of course it's been emotional and tough to test the players, and it's coincided with a few sort of internal issues as well, with injuries and with coming up against a tough run of fixtures. So look, it's been a difficult week this week, but it's football, it's life, it's what we have to deal with, and we have to come through it.
We've also had the news this week of the FA Cup draw. Chelsea will visit the Valley in January. How much are the team looking forward to that occasion?
Well, that's in the thing. For what we have to do is make sure that we have an upturn in our league form and performance levels and everything, and get players back, and before we start looking at a very difficult and extremely competitive fixture in the FA Cup.
And on that, how do we sort of work around and get back to winning ways?
Well, first and foremost, we have to do the basics, be difficult to beat, as we have been for a year now. We've come away from that. Look, that again, not to repeat, because that can't continue to be the narrative about. We've been depleted in certain areas. It's not like just the number of people out. It's just bang. We've had certain areas which we've had to compromise constantly on, and then with the strikers being out, the impact and that has really been detrimental to us. But what we have to do is find a way in these coming games until we get everyone back and we are back to full strength and back to a competitive edge of getting results, because time waits for no man. So it's all well and good saying, yeah, but we've got injuries. Yeah, but we can't keep losing games either.
Just on those injuries, Anel Hernandez missed Tuesday's game with a hamstring injury. Is that likely to be a short-term layoff or something longer term?
Well, we'll have to see, but it's not days, it's weeks rather than days. It's unfortunate, but again, the situation we were in with what we've done, we've had to gamble on in the free agent market, and sometimes that's difficult because Championship's relentless, and to come from doing nothing to Championship football, then that does put a strain on your body.
And then just the regular question, just if any of the other injured players are closing in on a return?
Yeah, look, they're all a lot closer. It's just, because of the volume of ones we've had, they're trickling back. But look, in the coming weeks, we'll be in a considerably stronger position, and we actually look forward to that.
On a separate note, more goals this week for Daniel Kano. He's now up to 10 for the season. How pleased have you been with his loan spell at Walsall?
Yeah, we are, and that's the thing. We let Daniel and DK and Mika go on loan because we had 4 strikers that we felt were of a really high level, and we wanted those to have game time. Then Gordon's been really frustrating. The Gordon situation's been really frustrating, and that's taken considerably longer. Then Kelman picks up an injury, and then suddenly 2 strikers that are scoring goals out on loan that are ours, and obviously we let Gassan go as well, has left us really depleted. So that's something we need to look at.
Travelled to Birmingham Saturday. We had some good games against them last season. How do you feel they've adapted to the Championship from what you've seen?
Yeah, look, they're a very good side. They're well coached. They've like everyone in the Championship pretty much. You have ups, you have good games, you have down games. They've won games. They've scored goals. They've scored. They had a spell where they scored 2 or 3 times 4 goals. So they're in decent form, but it's a Championship, and every game is different, poses a different test, but every game poses you a test.
What lessons, if any, can we learn from those games that we played against them last season?
Well, we will learn. We will learn from them. They were very tight games. The 2 league games were 1-0 wins each for the home team. Margins very, very small. There's very little in either game. we felt at home we were really good and could have probably won by more. We had some really glorious chances. They probably had more possession in the away game. It took an error from us for them to score. But they were tight games, and as I said, the respect levels there from us to them. But it's another championship game that we're looking forward to.
Thanks, Nathan.